All right, let me see something. Jagoda, can you hear me? All right, let me see something. Jagoda, can you hear me? All right, let me see something. Jagoda, can you hear me?
Hello,
All right, let me see.
hello.
All right, let me see. Yo, what's up?
Yo,
Hello.
Chilling,
chilling.
chilling,
All right.
man. Chilling.
So, before we start, obviously, so what I was gonna do is I was gonna open
Come on.
All right, Revival, it's on you.
CrossfireLGs Deep Dive. This is your host, Revival. Sitting beside me is my co-host, Dallas the Savage, and we're here to bring you the brand new podcast for the Crossfire League Madden 23 cycle. We got some interesting topics tonight. We also got a couple special guests going to join us. So without further ado, let's get into it.
What up, everybody? So let's just go right into the first topic. Who do you feel is the more superior conference, the AFC or the NFC? I'll go ahead and take this one off the top first. For me personally, I did look at both conferences pretty well, and honestly, I can argue there is a viewpoint for both. I will roll with the AFC being the more superior conference due to you look at teams like the Bengals, who's been very great this season, 13-2, Dolphins 12-3, Bills 11-4. The depth at the in the AFC conference is to me stronger than the NFC's, and also at the top of the AFC conference. You have me and the Bengals, which I feel like personally is a stronger 1-2 compared to the NFC's Jodine and the Falcons. But whenever you look at teams like the Cowboys and the Giants and the Saints and Commanders, like they're right there on the edge. And if those users can step up their level just a tad bit, I feel like the NFC can possibly flip the tide.
That's why it's the AFC. I think with the NFC, I think you have more of a fair chance to get in the playoff spot. Like the 7th seed, like I'm looking on there, like the NFC, you could possibly have a 9-8 or 8-9 team skate right into the playoff spot with, which is kind of crazy. So with the AFC, you got those four teams that it's almost like it's a lock-in for them. So, you got, 12 other users in that conference trying to fight for those other 3 other spots. And it just makes it tough, especially if you're in one of those divisions where if you're in the AFC East or if you're in the AFC North, you know what I mean? Those are not cakewalk divisions. I mean, not saying that the other divisions aren't tough, but, it's not an easy walk in the AFC. And I feel like whatever happens in the playoffs and I think the chip is going to come to the AFC.
Absolutely, 1,000%. And even then, whenever you look at my bad, my apologies.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
But one matchup I'm really interested in between the AFC and the NFC. I know myself, I lost to the 49ers, but you also get the 11-4 Niners this week versus the 11-4 Raiders. And that to me is a great matchup. And I'm pretty interested in how that will play out and for the future implications of, the following season.
The 49ers, they, what he was able to do with that defense is honestly, it's remarkable. I think if he can just get his offense up to par with his defense, he's going to be a sleeper team in the playoffs that no one's really looking at. He's not like he's on the radar, but he's not on the top radar where like the top tier teams. And I think if his defense can show up, he can definitely make some noise.
1,000%.
In the playoffs. All right. So our next topic, I'm gonna let you lead it off, but one of the topic questions was if you could pick up the top 5 players in the Crossfire League this season as difference makers, who would be your top 5 players as difference makers in the Crossfire League this season?
For me, I'm gonna go ahead and go from 1 through 5, top to bottom. For me, it was pretty easy of a list to make. There was one honorable mention I'll go ahead and toss out there, and that was Tom Brady, who had an amazing season in the Crossfire this season. But my number 1 player in all of Crossfire to me is no debate, and that's Christian Watson. Jodine, man, 114 receptions on the season so far, over 3,700 yards, nearly 3,800 plus yards, with 62 receiving touchdowns. He's been just the most dominant receiver this season, and it's not even close. The gap between him and number two is greater than any other position gap to me in all of Crossfire. Number two, and that is Joe Burrow, quarterback, Cincinnati Bengals, with IMBG. He's completing 71% of his passes for over 6,000 passing yards, 73 touchdowns to just 17 interceptions. He's been an amazing user since he stepped into Crossfire, and wherever he goes, their quarterback is going to play at an elite level. Joe Burrow continuing his streak of just elite quarterback play. Number three, I'm going to switch it back to the NFC, and that is quarterback Desmond Ridder of the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons' previous season prior to the restart was very underperforming of a team. They got a new user, and with him and Desmond Ridder, he's at 4,900 yards currently on the season, 49 touchdowns to 20 interceptions, leading them to currently being the number 2 seed in the NFC. The number 4 player I have, and this to me is the best defensive player in all of Crossfire, and it's actually a rookie, being Troy Anderson, middle linebacker, 6'4", blazing speed. He currently is over 100 tackles on the season, 15 of those being TFLs, 2.5 sacks, 12 interceptions, leading that Atlanta Falcons defense. Just been absolutely phenomenal, and to me, one of the most terrifying players that will be on the field this entire season in the foreseeable future. And then number 5, got a running back, and that is Jonathan Taylor. Now, this man has been nothing but a workhorse for the Indianapolis Colts. He has 404 carries. Put that in perspective, everyone. That is nearly 150 more carries than the next running back in Crossfire. Also, for my team, in comparison to my team, Raheem Mostert only has 169 carries on the season. And so it's like, wow. Over 2,400 yards, breaking a Crossfire single-season rushing record that stood for a long time. 15 touchdowns that's on the ground. And without Jonathan Taylor, I know the Colts are only 6-10, but without him, I don't see them possibly even being a 2-win team, if that. And so those are the top 5 players I have in Crossfire this season. What about yourself?
I mentioned these players are not really in any numerical order, but with your list, I got a couple of guys as well on my list. So the first one I was going to put on, I'm a little bit biased towards quarterbacks, so I had to go with Aaron Rodgers, 110 touchdowns in one season. I repeat that again, 110 touchdowns in one season with 25 interceptions. That is by far unheard of in any Madden league. I think the closest I've ever seen someone get was probably like 97, and it was like in this beginner league that I seen, and just someone was just taking advantage of it. But to get 110 touchdowns, like if you look in the schedule and you break down the games, like the Packers are averaging more than like 45, 50 points per game, which is ridiculous. The only game I think that they didn't have that many points is I believe they played the Dolphins. And I think I believe that's where they didn't score as many points. But other than that, they're just a powerhouse offense. Like, you know what I mean? And Aaron Rodgers is leading the way. Like I said, 110 touchdowns. It's just, he's going to break records, and he's probably going to up his stat line in that record book for, career passing touchdowns as well. So my second player is Jeff Okudah. For the Detroit Lions. The reason why I picked him was because he had 10 interceptions, but one thing that really stood out with him is he had 18 pass deflections, and he only allowed 3 catches this season. Now, with the safety, position, you can always, sometimes it's easier for a safety to do it, but for a corner to only allow 3 catches per season, I think that's, something to mention as a standout. My third player I picked was Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has 1,301 yards rushing. But one of the big things that stands out for me is that he has 24 rushing touchdowns. He also has receiving. But he's on pace to be in the record books as well. And then, of course, I had to go back to the running back, and I had to mention this man, Jonathan Taylor, with 2,268 yards. One of the big stats that popped out for me was the fact that he had 80 broken tackles, which means if you play this man, you're not going to tackle him with one defender. You're going to have to hit him with 2 or 3 hit sticks to get him down. And mind you, I had the personal pleasure of playing this man. And even though the game was already foreseen and it was already closed, Jonathan Taylor was just a monster. And, I think one of the games, he had like 200 some yards rushing. And it's just remarkable that, that he's able to utilize Jonathan Taylor the way he does. And I feel like if he can just maybe get a better quarterback, because Matty Ice isn't doing it for him, if he could just get a better quarterback and maybe sort of like even that passing, rushing thing going on over there, I think he could definitely make some trouble, with his team with that. And then obviously we have to go with the rookie, Christian Watson, the 6'4" receiver, 96 speed, 114 receptions, 3,779 yards receiving, 62 touchdowns. His average yards per game in receiving is 236 yards, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? I know my quarterback for the first, 7-8 games couldn't even get 200 yards passing. So imagine one player getting almost 300 yards receiving. It's just crazy. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I had to put him on that list. And, especially being a rookie, he's a superstar trait. He's going to probably finish the season at X Factor. If not, next season, he'll definitely be there. And he's definitely going to be trouble for the whole cycle. Anybody's got to guard him.
Man, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And that was a interesting take with Jeffrey Okudah, because I did not even realize he only allowed 3 catches on the season. That is pretty locked down, to say the least. Like, if you're only allowing 3 catches as a number 1 corner, what more can you ask for from a defensive standpoint?
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, the defense and the record speaks for itself. I mean, I know he plays a big part in that, in these Detroit Lions, and you know what I mean? Like I said, when I had seen that, I was like, I have to put this guy on here, because I was trying to make it even so it doesn't look like one-sided all offense, quarterback and running backs or receivers. I wanted to look, find some defenders out there, and he was just one that stood out that, you kind of had to search, but, once you looked in those stats that really aren't like the big things, because, when you look in defense, you're looking at, fumbles, interceptions, and sacks, but looking for things like, pass deflections and allowed catches, you know what I mean? If you can lock up one side of the field, you know what I mean? Then you put your opponent in one dimension, like, oh, I can't throw this way because nothing's happening over here, so let me throw it to this side. And it's almost like his opponents might be avoiding the throwing over there because the fact that, he got 10 interceptions for the season, and I'm sure he'll get some more before the end of the season with the, remaining games left in the season. So.
Yeah, and then also adding on top of that, you got to think of who's in his division. So then you're dealing with the Packers offense led with, obviously, Christian Watson. You got the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. The Packers also have Allen Lazard. And then you have the Bears, who have Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, just studs everywhere, receiver. Claypool obviously not to the same effect as the others. But then that also, brings back to one of my picks, Troy Anderson, who's also tied with a defender from the Tennessee Titans for defensive touchdowns in the season. He had 4.
Yeah, there's definitely some very good standout defenders out there that maybe don't get the recognition they may deserve because you have other guys outperforming with so many interceptions, so many sacks and stuff like that. But like I said, I like to look in stats like that and pay attention to those because, like I said, those are key players you want to build your defense around, because if you can get guys like that, like the guy you mentioned, and then you could just build around them, and then once you can build around them, you can have a solid core there, going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're about to go into bringing in our guest. We're going to bring in our guest, JBilla, and the commissioner of the league, the GOAT, Jagoda. Are you guys here?
Yes, I'm here.
Jagoda, can you hear us?
Jagoda's voice by now. All right. Where's Jagoda? He's here. Is he roaming around?
Hey, we hear you. We hear you.
I hear you. Is here or no?
Huh?
All right. So I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
You sound like a robot.
Yeah,
man.
I hear you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now I can see you guys in here. Okay. So I just want to say, as a new user, I'm glad to be part of this league. This league is probably hands down one of my top favorite leagues I think I've ever participated or played in. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show. I'm truly speaking from the heart. Like the amount of things you guys put in this league, a lot of topics and the effort that I see in the back end that may not be noticed by the other guys, but you guys put in a lot of work. So can you take me back to like how Crossfire first started? Like how did this league start? Was it like it was something that you guys just like, hey, let's put this league together just to kind of kill time, and kind of walk me through that?
So it all began with Wolfpack, Napalm, and Dane, and myself. And we actually started Crossfire with only 16 people. We didn't have the full 32. And actually, I think it was Dane and Napalm who didn't want the league to be 32 users. And I slowly pushed it to where it was 32. And then it was Madden 16. And then Madden 17, JBilla came along from Belly of the Beast. I don't know if you remember that, JBilla.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So we were like way back from 16 and 17, probably like 8 years now, most likely. And then I started doing graphics around Madden 19. I was pretty much ass at graphics. I couldn't do graphics worth of shit. And then we did Twitter. And then now we're pretty much where we're at now. I'm Madden 23. So, at some point I want to get the whole league like media content driven at some point. That's my goal for next Madden, and I'm gonna slowly introduce this Madden. So that's the goal.
Okay. Like I said, I'm personally excited the fact that it's going to be a content-driven league, because it gives more incentives to users that may not be so great and just have like a little bit something else to kind of do and sort of make them feel part of the league. I was actually able to join the league right at the end. I think I participated in the tournament, and then I got in right at the end, and I ended up taking a team. Our beloved Arn had retired, and I ended up taking the Bills team. At one point in time, EA decided to drop the hammer on us and crush our league, again. I know eventually the league just kind of like shut down because everybody's morale was just kind of just crushed. But I heard that JBilla was the one that kind of like sort of like revived the league. Could you take me into that, JBilla? Like, what was the conversation that took place? Like, how did you convince Jagoda to be like, hey, let's bring this league back? Like, you know what I mean? This is something special here.
Yeah, it actually took a lot of perseverance just because he wasn't buying into it. It was a big blow for us. It was a lot of work put into it, and being that EA was having these issues, and it carried over to the league. And, we had to kill the league, but then I just kept nagging Jagoda. I was DMing him constantly, and I guess a lot had to do with him being bored, myself being bored, and it was like any other league that we just joined. It didn't have that same vibe. It didn't have that feeling that Crossfire gave you. So then that's when he was like, you know what, maybe it is a good idea to get the league running back. And from there on, it just, it came back.
I gotta say, if it wasn't for JBilla's ass, we would not be in the situation right now. We would not have the league up.
I had to just consistently. It was like on like a daily basis. I shot him a DM like, "Hey, what you doing?" And Crossfire like, "What's up? Let's run it back. Restart the league." restart the league, and I just kept nagging him about it, and he finally gave in.
He was tagging me in the middle of the night. He's like, what does motherfucker want? Oh, start the league then. I'm like, okay. And then one day I was
Yeah,
like, okay, let's get it rolling then.
and I mean, we did have like other leagues, like we could, like, you know, we just joined other league because initially the idea was like, you know what, we can't play Crossfire because, you know, all the work we put in, we had to kill it, but let's just go play Madden and just join other leagues. But then those other leagues just did not have that same vibe. It didn't give you that, you know, that same energy that Crossfire had. And you know what, it was like, nah, I can't. Once you join Crossfire and you see all the content and everything that's being put on, you go to other leagues and just see so dry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
I'm just curious, how many attempts did it take for JBilla to convince you, Jagoda, to bring it back? An estimate number.
Probably at least 30 times, day and night.
He's being
It's
modest.
I think
was it just regular business hours, or was it like
it took me 10 days
overnight,
until I said,
middle
okay,
morning?
let's do it again.
Hey, whenever I got a chance, I was DMing him.
That's funny.
You know what it was? It's also just the, you know, the legacy that Crossfire has is like, damn, I don't want to end it like this. Like, I didn't want to end it on this note. I didn't want to have like EA just get their way and be like, you know, no, I wanted to keep going.
Yeah. And that's why I would like, so for instance, like I understand, like, you know, you have that feeling about like, yeah, I don't want EA to get that upper hand on me. You know, I don't want to go out this way.
Exactly.
So for you, like, I understand, like, you're very motivated to, you know, bring it back. Question for both of y'all, but it's like whenever y'all, you know, finally decided, like, okay, boom, we're gonna, you know, bring it back. Did y'all have any possible concerns, like, like, you know, like it might not come back strong or as strong as, you know, it has, or were you pretty confident?
I was never worried about if it was gonna be able to pick up where it left off, if it's gonna be strong. It was more about, my concern was if EA would do it again. That was the concern. Can this happen again?
And still,
that
like,
was my concern.
now,
Never
I'm
about
so
the league,
concerned.
never about the commissioner, the admins, or the users. It was all more of a issue with EA.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because like when it comes to like Jagoda, the users, I'm very confident. I feel like we have a great group of, you know, players, and the admins are all in. So I feel like, you know, we never had an issue there.
Oh, speaking of admins, for those who don't know, we actually bring along Ed as one of our new admins, if y'all don't know. So he's going to be helping out. He's a Seahawks user.
Congratulations, Ed. Congratulations.
All right. Y'all have any more questions, I guess?
I know you had one question, but I figured give you the stage there.
Be quiet. Be quiet.
I guess really it's just the only question I would have left for y'all is, in terms of whenever you're looking to bring in users to the Crossfire League, for y'all, you know, we've had to replace people due to various issues, you know, and replacing people is always a difficult thing, you know, as a commissioner. I've had to deal with it myself. So I understand, like, boom, y'all having to do it for multiple Maddens and multiple seasons. So it's like whenever you're looking at recruiting a user, what are things that y'all look for? Is it just because some people feel like they only should get recruited based upon skill, activity doesn't matter. Others feel like, well, me being active should be the most important thing. If I'm good or not, I shouldn't get kicked for being good or bad. So for how do y'all look at that, or what do y'all prefer?
Well, upon like a new user, like we don't know.
Correct.
Like before the whole media thing, we try to test the user out as activeness. See if they play their games, see if they're in chat, popping in and out, not just playing and advancing. That's not what we're really looking for. And based on now up until Madden 24 and beyond, we're gonna look for users who don't only play in advance or activeness, whatever, but also in the media concept of helping out with the Crossfire support, on Twitter and on YouTube. Probably joining on a show here and there. That's what we're gonna be looking for from this point and beyond.
Okay. Billa, would you like?
I think he went to.
Yeah. Nah, I have a little input on that. I actually,
Okay.
for me, it all depends. Like it's a mix of stuff. I think the ideal user will be somebody who's balanced, who's active, and will and has skills as well. But then again, to have somebody who's a skill user and not be active and just bring toxic stuff to the league, I'd rather not deal with that. But if
Mhm.
the play doesn't necessarily have to be active as like to speak in the chat every day. I respect somebody who plays all their games, and just has the skills. Like that to me is good enough. Like I don't have to have that person in the chat all day talking. He could just be actively playing all his games and then he displays his skills as well. To me, that's good enough.
Mhm. Okay. And
Yeah.
so, like, speaking from my own experience, I ran a league from Madden 16 all the way through Madden 20, and then I ended up having to pretty much shut it down because majority of users in that league were unable to get the PS5, and so it kind of put a ripple into where it's like you got some people over here with PS5s, you got majority of them still got PS4, so it's like okay, like you're kind of killing me because it's like I don't know how to approach it, and we were unable to re up. And so I've been in leagues where I've been in leagues also where it's like for me, whenever I was commish, I would recruit people. Whenever I started my first league, I pretty much recruited 2 for 1. So it was like if I recruited somebody that I did not know, then I would ask them like, "Yo, do you have a friend?" But they just make sure like they're active. Like I gotta rely that they can play their games. If they're good, like that's a big bonus as well. So it was able to last long, relatively long, because everybody had like their own friend with them in the league. So nobody was like an outsider per se. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it made it like a very competitive nature within the league, which can be a good and a bad thing because sometimes the chat can turn real toxic after a game. Other
yeah.
times, like
And
it'll
you run into like if the friend drops and he follows.
absolutely. And so like, that was an issue that came about where it's like, okay, I might have like you see where one friend leaves, and now the activity in the other one has started to dissipate. And so it's like, that's like one of the headaches of it. But then also, it's like you don't want to have users that join the league and then, oh, okay, my first game, I get whooped. Oh, I want to quit. And so it's like you want to make sure you have people like, dude, if you can take a loss, perfect. Like, there's been some tough losses I've had to take. There's been some great wins I've had to accept. Just comes with the territory, straight up. And so it's like whenever you're looking for users, is yes, you want that activity, that skill, because you don't want to have a super heavy league to where it's
Lopsided.
only 2 users who can just dominate, and then it kind of makes others not feel included. But then also like with recent years of Madden, the content has become such a massive part where it's like me being in here, like all the graphics constantly. We're doing like shows now to make it even better of an experience for the users and uh, outsiders to where they can, even if they're not in the league, they're still involved in the league and they can keep up with the league. And so it's going to be real. To me, it's going to be real fun to see how it all goes because once you start doing content and getting everyone involved, it to me starts to form more of a bigger brotherhood within the league on top of whatever you already have standing.
Yeah, with the shows, this is the first of many. So I'm looking forward of getting many shows in the future. Probably next week
Mhm.
also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey, quick question for the host. So who y'all favorites to win it in the league?
Ooh, Revival, I'll let you go first on that one.
Is going to be the favorite to win. No. You know, are you talking about like the Super Bowl, or do you want me to pick two teams that are going to be in it? Because I don't know. I can't pick. Can't
Yeah,
pick
you could give
nobody.
me you could give me the representative for the AFC and NFC.
With the NFC, until I can see something different, I'm gonna have to go with the Packers for the NFC. I really want the 49ers to make it on that side, and it's no disrespect to anybody on there. It's just because he has a really good defense, and I wish he could, Trey Lance could just kind of play up to par with his defense, because that, like I said, that defense is pretty nasty, like looking all around and on their team. And then for the AFC, I don't know. It's honestly a two-way tie. It's honestly between the Dolphins and the Bengals. Just because I seen them both play, and they're both competitive, and I think they might be the AFC championship game. Might be those two, and then I think whoever wins out of that, I'm gonna have to side with the AFC though. Like as if we did a Super Bowl matchup and it was those teams. It's just I don't know. The AFC just seems more dominant than the NFC. And again, it's no disrespect to anybody. It's just the AFC is just they're just loaded with great users. So I guess I would pick the AFC. I guess.
Honestly, for me, I would say NFC wise, the only two teams in the NFC that to me it's going to end up coming down to is the Packers and the Falcons, which is going to end up being the Packers, if I had to be brutally honest, because Joe Dean's offense is just it's a problem for anybody to deal with, and I don't think Falcons, especially year one, is fully ready to handle that offense. Like Watson is a problem, man. And AFC wise, I'm gonna go with myself. I feel like I personally have the two strongest wins of this cycle so far. That's not a Super Bowl, and that is I beat the Bengals, who was previously undefeated the entire cycle, and then followed it up later on and just recently beating Joe Dean, I believe by 6. And he had obviously, probably the most explosive offense in Crossfire history. And I held him to 24 points. And Rodgers completed, I want to say, 43% of his passes, and Christian Watson only had 2 catches with no touchdowns. So I feel like once playoff time comes, it's still going to come down to me and the Bengals, and whoever wins that game is going to win the bowl. That's what I'll say. Whoever wins between me and Bengals will win the Super Bowl. But I'm going to roll with myself personally. I feel like I can repeat a win after I've already defeated Cincinnati in Cincinnati.
I got a question for you. So there has been some controversy about the power rankings.
Okay.
And some people are saying that you should not deserve the top spot.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have any say in that?
To those who say I do not deserve a top spot, I would then look at them and argue, okay, what is your parameters behind that? Because I know looking at my schedule, I have 3 losses. I have a 39-45 loss to the Bills, which I then just recently avenged, winning in Buffalo. I had a bad loss to the Jets, which, I just laid a goose egg personally. And then I've lost to the 49ers, 14-17 at, I believe it's Candlestick. I might be wrong. So, 3 losses. But my wins are still the strongest of any user to me, which is I just beat Joe Dean. I've beaten the Bills. I've beaten the Bengals. So until you can bring forward a user that has stronger wins than me and more impressive wins than me, I mean, if you want to go with numbers, sure, go with Bengals, go with Packers. They have the most dominant numbers of anyone. But at the end of the day, we play to win, and I I beat them both. So what more do you want from me?
Damn.
Like, come on now, let's be real. But what more do you want from me? I don't need no X Factor quarterback. I don't need I got 2 receivers, but I don't even throw the ball to Tyreek Hill. Y'all know me. I run the ball. He has more rushing attempts than receptions. So
Yeah, I think he has under 1,000 receiving yards, and we're in
I
16
want to
right now.
say yes, because he only. Let me see how many. Tyreek Hill is currently at 850 receiving yards. Waddle just broke over 100 like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm telling you, I don't have the most impressive numbers. Trust me, I know I don't. However, somehow
It's
this
about
little
the
Miami Dolphins
formula. Whatever
keeps
that
winning.
formula is, whatever's bringing you success, that's what counts.
Exactly. So that's why I say, okay, if you want to put the Bengals above me, what's your logic? 13-2. I already beat them. So I mean, it's cool. Like whoever you want to put above me, I don't think there's an argument. I don't see it. We'll see though. We shall see come playoff time.
I had a question for JBilla. So he was talking about he preferred really, someone that just plays their games and whatnot. So I wanted to add on to that, and then I wanted to also put someone on sort of like on the radar. So with where the direction is, where the league is going, where it's being content driven, do you think that those users that are just playing their games, playing all their games, and just not really being the most active in chat, do you think they're going to have a hard transition in making that change?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, it would be a tough call. I mean, some of these people have a history of that, and they've been in the league long enough. So, there's a couple of OGs that don't really not too chatty, but they've been here with us for a long time. That's just their personality, so we respect it. But they've been actively just playing games and been real loyal to the league. So that's a huge part of the league. We can't just force everybody to chat all day, every day in the league. But just to make a stop once in a blue, it doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
I'm thinking more like, okay, even if they're not doting and they're not like the Bengals user, and they're not sending 1,000 memes a day, but I'm talking more or less like, okay, just participating in voting and participating in like making a team page and stuff like that. Do you think they would have a hard time transitioning into that? And where
Oh,
where
okay.
would you feel like to draw the line at? You know what I mean? Like, and draw the line in the sand. Like some of those guys, like you said, they're OGs. They've been here, for a while, and some of them are just, they don't have nothing to talk about. They don't, they're not interested in the topics that are going in the chat. The chat can get kind of crazy, especially at this time of night. It starts getting, very weird with Hamzilla. So I mean,
We got
where
the
do you?
HBO special going on.
That pizza coming out the closet thing, is kind of weird for me. But I mean, like, do you think that those guys can at least do the minimum of being active, at least being somewhat, content driven as far as that goes?
Yeah, I don't think so. We do expect everybody to have some type of input when it comes to like some type of graphic. We're soon, actually, as a matter of fact, we're thinking about bringing back the Twitter pages for the team. Where everybody had to post something daily on a game or some type of thing on the Twitter. So we had everybody cohesively doing that. So I don't think we would have an issue with that. So as far as them transitioning to that, I don't think it'll be a problem because we don't expect so much of them, but a little bit will help.
Absolutely. So one thing I remember when I was in SML, Sam Madden League, we had team profiles. So I wonder, like, have y'all ever just thought about just doing like a straight up just like a team profile, like a coach's profile? Only reason why I asked that is because personally, I hated having to change my team name. Like I hated it because it was like then you got all these tweets associated with that team, and then you got to pretty much create the new team name. And so I would just be like, can we just do essentially like, oh, coach, and like we all create in theory like a Crossfire coach, whoever your coach name is, that'll just stick with you for whatever. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually not a bad idea. Like the Twitter handle, like Coach
Yeah,
Dallas or
coach.
Coach Savage, and then like the
Yeah,
actual Twitter name will be like the team name or just the coach name.
correct. So
Okay.
the Twitter name is, so you can say, coach,
Mhm.
and in the bio be like head coach of the Crossfire. For me, it'd be like Crossfire Miami Dolphins, and then boom. So then you don't have to worry about changing your team names, especially with us, like how we're able to do, excuse me, like team swaps, for example.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about me changing from the Niners to the Dolphins. I can just be like, due to recent actions, I've been traded for yada yada yada, and I will now be the head coach of. So then all I'm changing is just whatever is in my bio
Yeah, we actually had an issue with
versus
that when we did the team Twitters. It was
because
people were
team names
changing their
already
team.
taken, kind of.
Yeah. Or they had to like
So that.
change the abbreviation somehow, some way, or put
hmm
like an underscore. So I think
Yeah.
your suggestion might be the best
And
option.
so yeah, because I know like I had that issue kind of with SML because it was like I'm the what team was I? So I was the Buccaneers for Madden 21, but it's like there was also Buccaneers users for other years, and it's like okay, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like yeah, so that's why we can just because I'm a person that likes history, so it's like boom, we get our coaches, and then we can add in starting next season like a coaching record. So then we can keep track of like users and their performances in terms of like their all time record and win percentages, division titles,
That's
things like
actually
that.
a good idea to keep track of history.
Yeah. And
And
so then see,
yeah.
because I know, me and Jodine be having a little, I mean, not me and Jodine, me and the Bengals, we be kind of having a little debate about the rings and which one, which ones and how many seasons I was in. Because I only remember like 2 seasons from last year. I don't remember nothing about me after I lost to the Falcons. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? Like thank y'all for coming in for the topic and a couple other topics.
Oh, no problem.
Glad y'all doing. Thank you again for everything that y'all do, man. Y'all hold it down. Y'all keep the league running smooth. Constant graphics, constant content, and only really going to be getting better. So thank y'all
More
very much.
questions we let them before we let them out the door. One question I wanted to ask you guys, you and Jagoda, or Billa and Jagoda. So we wanted to talk about who do you feel is the most overrated user and the most underrated user?
Joe. No, I'm just kidding.
I got one. Most overrated user. It gotta be
Is
Wolfpack.
who?
Wolfpack.
Wolfpack?
Yeah, he's overrated.
Oh, shit. Damn.
Ooh.
That's supposed to be his boy. That's crazy.
Shots fired. Shots
Dude,
fired.
he talks all the shit, so
Well, I got the underrated one though.
Okay.
I
Who
got
was
an
that?
Who's
underrated
underrated?
user. Right now, he might be underrated because he's new to a lot of you guys in the league and all that, but he's been
I think I know
around.
where you're going.
Right now, he's dealing with a tough
Mhm.
team. Titans ain't such a good team to play with, so I think Jacob is the underrated user right now. He's under the radar right now, but he's a very well user, and once he gets that team right, I think he's going to be a problem, and he's just going to add more fuel to that AFC.
I think my underrated kind of surprised me a little bit was T-Cals with the Raiders.
Oh, T-Kills.
Because right now he's 11-4. He basically already won his division. So I think he's the most surprising or underrated per se. So that's my take.
Okay. For me, I don't. So like the way I would look at overrated, which is crazy because he's a top user in here. The way I look at overrated as in like whenever it comes to the big games, what do you do? And outside of let's be honest, Mickey Mouse ring. Joe Dean has always been a top man. like straight up.
I
Joe
knew
Dean
where
is
this was
going.
going. I mean,
Joe Dean,
rumors is that he is a season warrior, a regular season
yeah.
warrior. That's the rumor.
Some rumors are true, and he's gonna put up about 350,000 yards of offense with another 400,000 touchdowns in the regular season. But outside of that one ring, which I don't even remember, people playing in, and who he even beat him. I don't even know who he beat. What has he done? Like, how many was that his only ring in Crossfire?
Fuck, I don't even remember who he beat in the last
See,
result.
and that's what I'm saying. All right, Jodine ain't got no ring. So Jodine is my overrated. Underrated, I would say, man, who was somebody that gave me trouble this year? I can't really. I don't know if he's considered underrated or not, but I would say the user. I think he's the Commanders now.
Oh,
Uguay?
Ungwe.
Yeah, like him, like man. I don't know what he's done this season. I don't think he's been great, but he gave me some problems. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Yeah, Ungwe's solid. He's good.
yeah, he gave me some problems whenever we played. Was he the Giants last season or no? Or was that somebody else?
No, he was last season.
No. Who was the Giants last season? My bad.
Oh, Giants is Giants. I don't
Because
remember Giants.
his name is D'Angelo in the chat. I know that.
Oh, he's a Giants right now.
Okay, yeah. So he gave me some problems last season, but Ungwe or whatever, I remember last Madden. I don't think I played him this Madden.
D'Angelo
I know
was
last
the
Madden.
Commanders last season.
Yes. So he stood out to me whenever I played him this season or this Madden. But then I remember from last Madden, Ungwe or whatever you want to call him.
I
He was
believe
legit.
Ungwe was the Falcons, if I'm not mistaken, last season.
Wasn't it O'Day that was the Giants?
Proficient Kangaroo or something like that.
Oh, he's the Falcons right now.
Yeah,
Proficient.
The
he's another
Falcons
one.
user.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one that I think is underrated.
So Proficient is the Falcons right now?
Yeah, he's the Falcons right now.
Then yes, he's legit. That guy's legit because he had the Giants and he just said I just needed a better team. He got a better team, and
well, basically he would be in my if I had a top 5 user of the league, he was definitely he makes the cut. I actually had Bryce, yourself, Dallas, Sincere, which is Proficient is on Falcons.
Okay.
Jacob, we're talking about user, not record team wise. We're talking about user, so that's why I put Jacob and Wada. He's the Bucks. To me, he was always a good user. Yeah, he had a little bit of a slack off a little bit, but I think when he gets his mind right, he's definitely a top user.
Because was Wada was he the Saints last Madden, I believe? Or was he not the Saints?
Yeah, he was.
There was somebody who was the Saints last Madden 20. What are we at? If we're at 23, we're at Madden 22. There was somebody who was a Saints user that was really good. But that guy, I want to say that might have been Ice Water or he was the Rams last Madden. I don't know. But
they were the one that usually runs the 5 front on defense.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm one of those people who honestly forget how people play until I play them, unless they stand out real big time. Who's the? Oh my gosh, who was the Vikings last Madden? Who was that? I need to know. Who was the Vikings last Madden? Was it Wolfpack or was it? It's somebody.
Madden.
I want to say. Who?
I gotta say it's Wolfpack.
Okay, because there's somebody that was the Vikings last Madden, and he used to irritate me because I was the Bears. And this man, I played him again this season. Actually, let me see if I got him. Let me see if I got him on my schedule because it was a guy I played.
Is he the one who usually throws Hail Marys?
Okay, no, he's the Wolf. So he's Wolfpack again this year. Yeah, Wolfpack. This man, hey, Wolfpack, I got beef with you because you want to run shoe clock the entire game. Bro.
Once you said true clock, I already know. Yeah, that's him.
Bro, I'm come on. That man used to rob me of stats. I'm over here trying to compete I was trying to win an MVP with Justin Fields last night, and I'm over here dealing with Dalvin Cook running the ball on shoe clock for 4 quarters. I'm come on. Yeah, that's all I got for him, man. That's all. Lay off the shoe clock. Which, we had a debate in the little, or not a debate. We have a little topic going on about, custom playbooks and, What if that should be allowed, not allowed? Shoot clock is one of them interesting ones because that stuff right there irritates me if they do it the whole game. But I understand why somebody can. That's all. I'm sorry.
I remember JBilla and Wolfpack had some history about Chew Clock.
Man,
You've been chewing clock since the beginning.
like, come on, man. Jump, man. Wait. Oh yeah. Can we? Yeah. Let's do. Let's do coaches' Twitter names and let's keep up with their records, man. Because there's some people that I'm ready to see what their record look like after 3 seasons.
Well, that's the plan then. If we're gonna have time, I'm probably gonna start it tonight then. The only bad thing is the record thing. I don't have histories from previous Madden, so I could just probably start it this Madden.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, especially when it comes to records, like, so you can keep track of it in terms of like you can use stats from like regular players. I know some leagues where they only kept records for like not custom, but like players that weren't already in the game per se. So like after like that first year, like whoever did that, whatever. But you can really do whatever you want. It's just for me personally, I would prefer if it was in a separate document from the rule book, because it's like easier for everybody to just try to be like, oh, this is our stats document, this is our rule book document, instead of 2-in-1. Only because it's a lot of scrolling for me personally on the iPhone. But yeah, we can go and get some. Hey, Jodine, stop talking trash in the chat. Stop talking trash in the chat. I already beat you. You lost. Handle it. That's all I gotta say.
Yo, man, appreciate you guys hosting this, man. It was a pleasure being here. Definitely was a great time. And for our first podcast, it was real smooth, man. I love the transition. You had a lot of informative information and a lot of knowledge of the league. I respect that.
Hey man, no problem, man. No problem. You gotta be prepared. You gotta be prepared.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all do your thing. So, go ahead and
for giving us the background, and thanks Jagoda for making this thing for what it is, and keep doing what you're doing behind the scenes, and you know what I mean. Keep pushing out that content, and keep motivating us to want to do more and do bigger things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to give one quick little small shout out to two users. Billa, my bad, bro. You was one of them people that just, oh man, it's a tough challenge to play. Like you're pretty good. I'll say Billa is up there in terms of like top users, and I would say this guy, he's a new, I believe. I believe y'all just added him kind of recently, and that is he's the Chargers Beaninator, something.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna call it right now. He's gonna finish top 3 in the AFC next season. I got money on it. I got $1.50 on it.
All right, guys. Oh man, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. Definitely, again, thanks for all the questions and input on your guys' end. Like I said, I appreciate it, and look forward to to maybe talking to you guys again in the future, and keep doing what you guys are doing. I mean, like I said, you guys are the I'm going to quote a Roman Reigns line. You guys are like the head of the table. You guys run things behind closed doors that people don't see, that keep everything going. So, keep doing what you guys keep doing. You guys are like the go-to league.
Yeah, man. Definitely thank you for running the show. Great first podcast. Quick shout out to Joe. Joe, you got a lot of pressure. You better step your game up.
No. You're going to have to step your playoff game. Don't be the Peyton Manning of Crossfire. All right, so we talked with our guests here. So we got 2 more topics to go. The fourth topic was, and it's funny because you brought him up. If you're the Chargers user and you end up with the number 1 pick, what position would you pick?
So in his position, honestly, I look at him doing 2 things. I would, if you are going to draft, you take a top flight wide receiver because you got Keenan Allen up there in age. Mike Williams is he's about to enter his prime, but you know he's still going to end up coming of age soon. So you take a top flight receiver, or you take a dominant, and it's got to be a dominant to me linebacker or a corner, linebacker or corner. I'm gonna have to double check with the draft again to remember all the rookies. But personally, if I'm him, I am taking that number one pick and I am trading it. I'm not going to draft a rookie. I'm going to take a guarantee, give me a top tier 93, 94 plus overall X Factor player. Somebody that is an absolute game changer, game wrecker, or package it for multiple players like I'm drawing blank. Isaiah Simmons in a player. Traded for Ramsey, traded for some. Like you have to get a bona fide top flight player with that pick. There's nothing. Don't waste your time trying to develop a rookie unless you have the highest confidence in them being a right away plug and dominate type player. Instead, no, traded for a 93, 94 plus overall player.
Who would you trade? Like if you had the keys to the Chargers ownership, like if you guys switched, who would you pick? Like as far as like trading for a player, like what player do you see like in the trade block that you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna grab him.
And so here's the thing: is like you don't know who's all willing to trade. But if I'm him,
Sure.
I'm looking at a player like, and he's probably not available for trade. But Jefferson, or actually, you know what? You can probably get this player for less than the number one overall pick. So you might be able to do a trade down. Actually, I'll just start this off the top. You might be able to do it's going to be a big trade down. But if you can get a package deal somehow revolving around bringing in Devontae Adams and Darren Waller, or talking to the Falcons and getting Kyle Pitts, or something like that, but especially like Devontae Adams. You can get Devontae Adams for less than the number one overall pick. Give him multiple picks and get Devontae Adams, and then use that number one pick to load up on defense, or use that number one pick to trade down, obtain Devontae Adams and another player in a pick. If I'm him, like Devontae Adams is somebody that's plug and play. Yes, he's older in age, but he is going to dominate. If you want a younger player, look and talk to the Vikings about somehow. I don't know how. If he's interested in it or not. But somebody like Justin Jefferson, 49ers with Debo and Nick Bosa, like a right away plug in impact player. There's so many people. The Cowboys maybe wanting to trade CD Lamb. There's just so many people that you can kind of look at and just say, look, if I get this guy on my team, what will he do for me? And that's how you have to look at it. It's like, dude, you got to make a move. You're in a win now period. You got everybody else. The Rams with Cooper Kupp. You know the Rams are trying to rebuild. Go get Cooper Kupp, man. Like this is your window. Seattle with DK. Like this is your window. Don't put it to waste. Do not put it to waste. If you don't want a receiver, you want to just get a tote running back. Go for Nick Chubb. Go for Nick Chubb. If you get Nick Chubb to me is one of the most dominant players in Madden.
Agree with you, 1,000%. Like, I was even thinking maybe even if you were going to trade that pick, maybe even trade him for Mike Evans, because Mike Evans, I mean, he's also a beast too. He's not the fastest guy, but he's still a beast, you know what I mean? Again, with how many we'll probably have, I mean, we might reach 4, give or take, because it takes roughly about 2 months, 2.5 to get through a whole season. So you might want to say, you know what, I don't want to rebuild. I don't want to build up anybody. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot for a superstar, an X Factor player. So that's an interesting take on that. I actually had him, if I was him, I actually had him taking a pass rusher to add to that line, and I was actually thinking about him drafting Andrew Torres, who's supposed to be the top defensive end in the draft. Again, you can do your homework on that, but I was thinking about him, or again, like you were saying, a top flight receiver. Someone with a little bit of height, you know what I mean, and someone with some speed, some wheels on him. I think that's the two things you go for. But again, me personally, I would want to boost that defensive line. But again, you do have an older receiving core. You know what I mean? Like Keenan Allen's getting up there in age, so maybe you go with someone a little bit younger. You know what I mean, to kind of rebuild. And I don't know if he's got that mentor talent or ability where he can mentor younger receivers, but that might be something too. He could also do. So.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, it's real interesting to see what he can do. Because yes, number one pick, and that's the only issue that the Chargers do have is like they got two superstar and above receivers at pass rush. They got two. I want to say they're both X Factor, which is Mac and I want to say Mac and Bosa are both X Factor. If I'm wrong, then it's just one of them being X Factor. Oh no, they're both X Factors. I just look. But they're both of like higher age. So if you want to just beef up that front seven, either beef up that front seven or you trade for a shutdown quarter. It just you cannot waste the number one pick. It's too much value with the number one pick for you to just waste it. Like, man, like, come on, this is your chance. I think highly of that Chargers user. I think he is really good of a competitor. So do not waste it. And there's teams that's desperate for quarterback. They're going to give up a haul for that number one pick. So as long as he plays his cards right, he should be able to get a pretty great package. Like how you mentioned the defensive end, I'll look into him more and more. But as long as he takes him, if he doesn't want to develop him, you got Chase Young, who's young, and obviously Washington needs a quarterback. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. Washington has Kyler Murray. What's the team, man? There's some teams that need quarterback. Oh, the Cardinals are desperate for a quarterback. See if you can get a package of players from them. I'm not sure who all they've remained on that team due to so many trades, but get a package of talent from them, man. They got 2 first-round picks. You can trade for 2 first-round picks and maybe I don't know. There's a trade that you can base around Patrick Surtain the second. If you want to light on that corner, man, just make sure you hit home run on your whatever move you decide to do, man.
I agree. There's some users that are easier to trade with, and then there's some users that that are kind of difficult, and some will even leave you on red, and you won't even know what's going on. Next thing you know, you'll see in a trade block or a trade proposal that the guy that you were just talking to, and he's proposing to trade the player that you thought you were talking to. So I think it's something that he should probably think about and look and see what guys are really offering and who's pretty easy, because some users you try to trade with and they're just looking to do trade rape, and you know what I mean. You'll usually see it like during the conversation. You'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to get anything good out of this deal, and you just kind of close it out. But I think there's some guys in here that he might be able to get a really good deal, especially if they see somebody that they really want and they want to target, like that X Factor quarterback that's in the league or in the draft. I'm sorry. Somebody might want to grab him because you get an X Factor quarterback. He's already packaged up, ready to go. You just gotta, mold him into your offense, and you're good to go. So, there's so many options for him to do. But again, I personally, I think he maybe would go for a defensive end or a receiver. But again, there's a lot of good options out there you can do.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
So then we're going to lead into our fifth topic, our final topic. So with 2 teams that just got new owners, one was the Chargers, and I forgot the other user. Can you help me on this one? I forgot the other team that just got replaced. It was 2 teams that got replaced.
With Chargers and Panthers, I believe. Chargers and Panthers, I believe.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because Tex Bless got the Panthers. You're right. So with those 2 teams, they got new owners. Who else do you think we need to watch for being on the hot seat?
So this question was really intriguing, and I looked at a couple. There's a couple people that I saw. So it was like the Browns, for instance, which Browns were such a quiet team, which to me is weird because we were doing the drafting process. I was really struggling deciding between the Browns and the Dolphins because the Browns are such a dominant team. if the right person has them. But Browns, because there's 6 forced losses on there. I got 17 games in the season. 6 forced losses is not a good look. The Patriots, I don't think I've ever seen him speak a word in chat. And he also had multiple forced losses as an issue. And then the Saints is also another person I counted with multiple forced losses and not a high amount of activity in chat from them. Those were the 3 people I were looking at. I was like, hey, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see y'all talk. And also with Patriots, I was supposed to play him this week, and he was like, "Oh, just take the force." I'm like, "Oh, dude, like I'm kind of like want to play you."
I feel like they're fake wins, and especially if you make it to the playoffs like that, and I want to kind of go in this, and hopefully I don't ruffle no feathers in this, but one of the owners I feel like it should be on the hot seat is the Saints user. Okay, so I'm going to give you some really interesting facts on this one. So this guy, it's week 16, week 17. This guy's only played 3 games. He has 5 forced losses, 4 fair sims. You know when the last time he got an actual played victory was week 1. He hasn't played a game and won since week 1. It's week 17. So if I was on the admin team and the commissioner team, I would be looking at this user like, yeah, he's the next one to be in the chopping block. And if I was him, and especially if I'm tuning in and listening right now, I'd be like, shit, let me go on my damn schedule tab and try to get a game in. I don't care. I'll play it right now and just get in. Like, the fact that we played, week 17 and you only won 1 game. Your record is playing games is 1-2. And I know things do happen, but come on. Week 1, you've only played 1 game and won that week 1 game, and you haven't won a game since. And this is another interesting fact. He's also the 7th seed in the playoffs in the NFC. So if that's not more of an insult to the NFC saying, hey, this fair sim, fair loss, fair win guy, this guy doesn't play his games as your 7th seed. Someone on the 8th seed, imagine if you tie with this guy, and it's week 18, you tie with this guy, and he gets in. You're going to be tight. You're going to be going to management like, come on, you guys got to do something with this. This guy made it to the playoffs, and he only won 1 game in week 1, and he's in 7th seed.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. Like, and if you look at the games that he played, some obviously, you getting a forced win is out of your hand. But forced losses is, like, hey, come on now. If you look at the games he played, week 1, okay, week 6, which means weeks 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 games, which means at least a minimum of 10 days. So you're looking at close to a week and a half of nothing. Then you go week 6 all the way until week 13 is the next game played, which is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, which is 12 days minimum of nothing. And it's like, dude, like, what is going on right now? I know he's supposed to play the Eagles, which is Jagoda this week. We'll see how that game goes. And then he has to play the Panthers next week, which, I mean, the Panthers have been through turmoil of new user gone, new user. So it's like, I have no idea what to expect from this situation.
Yeah. When I looked at that, I was like, no, let me double check and look at this schedule again. And I looked again and I'm like, this guy hasn't played since week 1 and won a game. Like, it's like, what are you doing there? Like, I get it, life happens and, and unfortunate things happen out of our control, but come on, it's 17 weeks, weeks in. It's we're on a 48-hour, 72-hour schedule, give or take. I think it was 48 hours, right?
Yes, 48 hours.
Yeah, so 48 hours. So you take that, 2 times 17, and of course we advance early on some things, and sometimes we advance a little bit later, but that's 34 days. So out of 34 days, you've only played 3 games. Like, I just don't know. Like, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand how that passes by. And I would have to expect him to be in the hot seat, especially when we're going to be go and being pushed into a content-driven league, and we want people to be active on that side of the end. I just, if he doesn't switch up something, I just can't see the admin team being like, okay, we got some hungry guys in the wait list. We got Spider, who's been, telling, say, hey, bring me in. I want to be brought in. He's even been teasing the wait list. We have AJ sending "let me in" memes, every day for like the past week. You know what I mean? We have guys in there that are hungry, that want to get in. You know what I mean? And you're just like, oh yeah, it's another casual day in Crossfire. I'll just take this fair sim or fair loss or fair win, whatever, forced win or whatever it is. It's just, you gotta get your activity up and play your games. You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion.
We have a comment in the chat from the Washington Commanders saying "preach" and to give him a forced loss. For those who do not know, the Washington Commanders is also tied with the Saints.
So
8-7, I believe, and he is very much screaming for that last playoff spot. Will he get it? It depends on the force loss, force win situation. That's what it appears to be. So if you look, and then that's going to spill into the playoffs, which, okay, Giants has a better record than Washington currently. I don't know if they play again, but it's just, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, actually. But in general, it would be very, it's so unfulfilling if you get all the way to the playoffs and you are the who would he be? So he would play the Falcons, who's the 2 seed, and the Falcons is trying to play a game, and it's like, oh well, I don't get to play, because you want to stay in rhythm. Yes, you're avoiding a possible loss by taking a forced win, but whenever it comes to playoffs, you want to stay in rhythm. That's why personally, sometimes I hate having the one seed, because I have that 2 days of not playing a game with my team. So it's like they're coming in red hot off of a win, and it's like, okay, let me get the rust off real quick.
I agree with that 1,000%. When you don't play after 3-4 games or whatever, or you take a break from Madden and you try to jump back in, you definitely get a little bit of rust on there, and especially if you're playing a hot team, you got a guy that has a set amount of plays that he runs and he's beating defenses left and right, and then you come off not touching the sticks, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna pop Madden in and play him. It's you're almost like setting yourself up for failure. And then I'm always a firm believer, if I get in the playoffs, I want it to be legit. I don't want to get in there because I got 5-6 force wins. I mean, granted, you do get some people that are trying to tank, or people that are just like, I'd rather just not play them. I don't see no honor in that. You know what I mean? You're basically given a playoff spot, and then if you lose the first round, it's even more of an embarrassment, because you basically got gifted a playoff spot only to lose anyway. Someone else could have got that spot and could have been hungrier and could have played more competitively. You know what I mean? And I'm not a fan of the forced wins. Especially if it takes over on a spot where another user is tied with you or just under you, because maybe the last game of the week you played, you got a forced win, and you just kind of shoved in there at the last minute.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other thoughts, or any topics, or anybody you want to mention? Anybody else, another player or another user you feel like could be in the hot seat, or should be in the hot seat?
Currently, I don't have any other users that I feel hot seat wise, but I guess it'll just be like a overall message to everyone, which is, look, we're going to be doing weekly shows, so contact either me, contact Revival. If you want to make an appearance, we're trying to bring a guest on every week, as long as we can get. The preference is, we want to have 2 guests at most, but at least one other guest each episode. So that's what we're looking for. So if you want to come on, just send me a DM, because we like a DM. Send me a DM, send Revival a DM. That's all.
Just the time on that. I welcome anybody on the show. I don't care if you played one game. Well, no, I take that back. I do care if you played one game. But if you're a new user and you got in the league and you know what I mean, you just want to kind of like let your voice be heard. Give us a little background about yourself, like where you came from. I'm all for it. And then for the guys, the other guys in the admin, like I'll definitely want to get Wolfpack on the show. Jagoda talking about his his play into how the league started and stuff like that. Definitely want to get Napalm and so guys like that that've been here that kind of established the league and made it to what it was, and have been here for a while. And then I also want to get some new young fresher blood and and even make it spicy and get some guys like Joe in here and or I don't know how to say his damn name. I'm just gonna say Bengals owner because I'm not repeating all them damn alphabet letters.
Bengals is already asking to be on the next.
One of those guys, you know what I mean?
He's already Bengals is already asking.
I mean, I don't mind it being spicy. I mean, so I mean, I don't mind it being spicy. You want to talk that talk and talk your trash and put the league on notice. Like, yeah, I'm about to win it, and you know what I mean. I don't mind. You know what I mean. Give us your backstory. You know what I mean. Give us a little bit more about you personally. More than what your record speaks. You know what I mean? Because everybody has character. Everybody has a personality behind them, and it's always fun to know who you're playing. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I know I'm playing the Ravens today, but beyond that, who is the Ravens user and what is he about? You know what I mean? Things like that. So, like I said, I'm all for bringing two guests apiece and hey, maybe bring some rivals on. Let them battle it out. Give them the stage and let them fight back and forth. You know what I mean? Maybe we can bring in a Bengals and Packers guest, for the next show and let them fight it out and let them fight to the death. You know what I mean? Have like a Crossfire death match going on in the podcast. So
absolutely. Actually, I'm trying to think about how this will go. I'm trying to think of something in my head. So in terms of how playoffs will be, if we're able to, I don't know if we're going to be able to, but if we are somehow going to be able to get in a show then Saturday, like let's say we're at Super Bowl week. I want to get a Super Bowl show in, possibly do like an interview with both coaches, and like let's say boom, both coaches get an interview for like pre Super Bowl hype. We can do like a little hype video for them as well, get things jumping, something like that.
Yeah, definitely could talk about that. Definitely in the graphics chat and the podcast chat. I'm all for it. I mean, definitely. Is there any users in the playoff picture right now that hasn't been in the playoffs that's actually going to be in it? Is there anybody new in there, or is everybody just kind of sort of a regular for Crossfire?
Honestly, because I'm still relatively new, so like I consider this like my 4th full season. Truly 3rd, but I'm still kind of getting used to everybody, like making it. I want to say T. Kells is like a not common guy, which is the Raiders. I want to say he's not common, but he's a, I guess you would say, familiar face or newer face to the postseason scene. Yeah, man, we're gonna have to. Yeah, I just got an idea in my head. I really, if we can get that Super Bowl show going, I got an idea because I'm probably end up having or asking Jagoda, Jesus, to probably send out a big message to everyone and have them send in questions for us to ask the 2 participants.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was thinking about maybe even I know we said once a week, but maybe we can just kind of somehow find a way we can schedule it in and if possible, you know what I mean? Because everybody's got different schedules, busy schedules. Maybe we can bring in T. Kellis in for, you know what I mean? Be like, hey, how does it feel to make it to the playoffs? And, what do you expect out of it? And what's your expectations out of it? And you know what I mean? Especially if we find out who he's going to match up with, I think he clinched the 4th seed, I think, or he clinched the division, right? The AFC West.
If he's a division winner, and I believe AFC West, he should be the 4th seed. He should.
So I mean, it should be pretty determined. If the playoffs ended right now, if the playoffs started right now based on the records, I think he would be playing the Ravens if I'm not mistaken. So, I think it would be pretty cool to get him on the show if we can somehow get that in there, squeeze that in there, maybe like have like a super, I don't know, playoff, show, just kind of like one of those, special shows where we just kind of bring on like new playoff user, just kind of make them feel like, sort of like a warm welcome and like, here you go, you know what I mean? And kind of like give them the stage in that. But definitely the Super Bowl thing, I'm definitely on board with that because that's definitely something to be pretty cool. We can give everybody their spotlight, bring them in and sort of kind of get like a Super Bowl pre-warm up. And, I'm sure Jagoda, I'm going to call him Jagoda, but I'm sure he'll have ideas, and I'm sure all the other admin guys in there will have ideas that they can bounce off. We bounce off each other and be like, hey, let's try to do this and let's try to do that. And like I said, I know Jagoda with the amazing job he's doing behind the scenes with the graphics and overlays and stuff like that with our graphic team. I think we can like come up with something special definitely this season for the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have communication from chat. People are saying that Napalm is new to the playoffs. I believe he came in at 9th in the newest power ranking. He is debating, saying I made the playoffs last Crossfire. So just throwing that out there for the world. But trust me, everybody that's listening, like we're gonna have some content for y'all. Just be ready. It's gonna be still gonna be crazy, man. We might end up having to do a post Super Bowl press conference, one with a winner, one with a loser. So Lord knows how the loser one might go, especially if it's like Jodine losing to Bryce, or Jodine losing to me, or Bryce losing to Jodine, because we might never hear the end of it, or whoever makes it.
Might have to put a timer in the chat, kind of give them like a little timer and be like, all right, we're gonna have to take a break and go to our sponsors for a commercial break.
Absolutely.
But I could just imagine it if the Bengals win it. I could just see the topic will be, oh, I lost this fucking Mickey Mouse fucking guy over here.
Absolutely, man. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. We got playoffs coming in, so best of luck to all the playoff teams. Man, we might. I don't know if we might be able to actually do a quick episode prior to playoffs, depending on everyone's schedule. We might be able to do a quick episode once like everything gets settled in through week 18, or once we hit the wild card round. Hopefully, we can knock it out before everyone plays. It depends, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we could try to do some like playoff predictions. I definitely want to touch base too. Maybe we can try even doing like a draft, maybe a live podcast for the draft. I mean, I know we'll be drafting our own players, but maybe we could do like a sort of like a live, maybe a pre-draft show. You know what I mean? Before, or maybe do it live if we have the time and whatnot. Because I know the draft does take a little period of time. It does take a while to kind of get through all the rounds and whatnot, especially depending on if it's a pause draft. If it's a pause draft, it can take some time. But if we can maybe do like a pre-draft show, I think that would be pretty cool too, because then we can get some backstories on these guys.
We can do like a mock draft, which you can kind of do like a mock draft show, which I've seen where some leagues might get insight from users and see who they're looking at, or just go off of whoever you feel they would draft. You can do something like that. You could also do a podcast. You can do one live as well. So you can do a mock one and then you can do a live one, which would, the way I'm picturing it in my head would be like, okay, boom, me and you, whoever else, is in here with us. And then, like throughout the course of the draft, we can be like rotating in people. And just, getting like their thoughts about like why they took a player, their logic behind their pick, and then the way that they built their team, things like that. And so then you can start to see how people formulate what they want their teams to look like.
That also might be a smoke screen too, you know what I mean?
That is true.
We can even get like some input from guys. It could be a smoke screen saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go for a receiver," when you're really just targeting a quarterback, or vice versa. You tell someone you're targeting a quarterback, and maybe a different user, a different team might reach for a player that probably would have fell down a little bit further down, just because they were on that mock draft and they were going to be selected for that team. You know what I mean? So that would probably put some, pretty cool mix to that too. So.
Absolutely.
All right. So that's the end of the show. Thanks for everybody tuning in. I appreciate our guests, Jagoda, how you pronounce your name. JBilla, I appreciate you coming in. And, of course, my host, Dallas the Savage, first time working with him. And we seemed like we were meshing pretty good. And, like I said, it's, the first of many shows that we're definitely going to be coming out with. So stay tuned. And, of course, like and subscribe to the channel. Tune in to the next episode of Crossfire's Deep Dive.
All right. See y'all. Checking out.